On today's show, Nico Harrison speaks to the Dallas media by himself for the first time, and he's not backing down from anything. No regrets.
I'm going to get a city like that.
Dogs, all of us, all five.
You are Locked On Mavs.
Great, Dusty.
Your daily Dallas Mavericks podcast.
No one's dying.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Still can't leave me alone.
Your team every day.
Gotta be born with it, dog blood.
And welcome. You're locked on to the Dallas Mavericks, your team every day. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member and NBA channel manager, covering the Dallas Mavericks for 10 years. Thanks for being an everydayer, making Locked On Mavs your first listen. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $250 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. And joining me, as always, my co-host, media member, covering the Dallas Mavericks for 10 years, bringing the heat, the question queen, the one more thinking. What you got for me, Isaac Harris?
Yeah, honestly, I didn't think that question was going to mean that much. I mean, yeah, but it did. I didn't mean it in any nefarious way or anything. But I think anytime thousands of people inside of an arena chance for somebody to be removed from their job, I would love to know why from that person why they should keep their job. So there you go. I did map it out the night before. I asked my wife. I was like, "Hey, I think I might ask Nico this tomorrow. What you think?" She goes, "Isaac, please don't ask that." She's like, "Please don't," because this is kind of like my thing. I'll ask like super hard questions in any setting that I'm in, not just the basketball world. And
well, thanks to you, the joke on the Western Conference squad show that'll drop tomorrow was everybody just over and over saying, "Nick, why shouldn't you get fired as the channel manager?" Just over and over again. That's what kept coming back to me. So thank you for that. Today's episode, we'll talk about Nico Harrison's press conference, another one that should have happened a long time ago.
oh my gosh,
We'll get into a bunch of questions. He talks about how he basically bet against Luka, if he has any free agency worries because of how he treated Luka and how the Mavs treated Luka. We'll also talk about how he finally admitted something about Luka and the fan base. I asked him about how he convinced Patrick Dumont to actually make the trade and approve the trade, and he did not answer that question, but he said something different in that answer that we'll get into about emotion and process and all that. But let's start here. It's the question everybody's talking about, and that is straight up, why should he not be fired, basically? And Isaac posed this question to him. Let's hear from Isaac and Nico Harrison at the press conference today.
Isaac from Locked On Mavs. When
I'm sorry.
No, my bad. When Luka comes back to town, the Lakers game's happening, and you're standing there, and there's thousands of people chanting for you to be fired. That's an experience that none of us, no one's chanting for for us to lose our jobs.
First of all, not true. That has happened to us a lot.
Not chants in an
Okay,
arena.
not chanting maybe, but
Twitter tweets is one thing.
and comments. And
Why shouldn't you be fired?
Well, one, I think I've done a really good job here, and I don't think I can be judged by the injuries this year. You have to judge from totality, from beginning to end, and so I think I have a really good working relationship with Patrick. I think you add in Rick, the leadership that we have is really elite, and you'll see next year when our team comes back, we're going to be competing for a championship.
should he not be judged based on injuries? Fair or not?
Yeah, I mean, I think, when asking that question, I was telling you before, I think it's important. I purposely tried to, I wanted to lighten the question a little bit because it is kind of halfway not a super professional question to ask, hey, why shouldn't you be fired? But it's became, like, to your point, this kind of slogan over the past few months for the Mavs fan base. And when you have an arena chanting that, I just really want to know your answer. Like, how would you defend yourself in a way? So when, I think the quote that's going around is like, I've done a really good job. And I think that's the thing I've thought about the most, even driving home, even walking around a bookstore with my kids after that. I was like, has he done a good job? Like, has he? And just like looking at just like the things across like over the past few years, I know a lot of people have, but it's like it's insane. It feels like he's been here a long time, but like he was hired June 28th, 2021, and we haven't even hit the 4-year mark yet.
Yeah.
But you can look at, it's like these every other year thing, Western Conference finals, the Kyrie trade, the KP trade, the Christian Wood trade, Lively,
Brunson.
and the Brunson debacle. So it's like for every good thing you can say about it, there's like another thing you can counter with it. It's like, well, what about that? Well, what about that? If you go by results, then yeah, sure. Like, when was the last time we've seen this team in a conference finals or a finals? It's been a long time. So like you kind of get that too. But I think one of the biggest, things, again, this has been a thing, is just the blame on injuries. Like, he started off even the whole day today. He sets down his opening statement, which was he had a piece of paper he was like glancing at.
Oof.
This season, one of the first things out of his mouth was, this was an injury riddled season. We're hit. And it's like, to him, it's just about the injuries. And this whole time, like, you can't judge this season off the injuries. You can't, the fan reaction to the Luka trade, it wouldn't have been as bad if we had the team on the court that we waited to, talk to you guys, the media, because we wanted you to see the vision first, to see the winning on the court, because that would have, lowered the vitriol, towards the, and it's like, I get it, but man, it's not everything. It would have helped his case for sure, but there would have still been a lot of frustration and hate coming out.
Yeah, to use that as like the meat shield in a way, right? Like, to throw that in front and to say it was just injuries. The injuries were a big deal, and we did a whole show recently about how the injuries is the biggest reason why the Mavs are where they are in the standings. I think this team will be good. Do I think they'll be as good as if they had Luka? Probably not. Right? Probably not. We've seen them go to a finals. And so, yeah, for him to use that, and he did mention that, all the things you just said were like almost direct quotes from him today about how we wanted to see this team before we even talked to you guys, so you could see the vision. We hope that the team, if they were winning, it would quell some of the anger. And it would have. He's right. It would have quelled some of the anger. Not all of it. And people still would have been mad, and people still would have been frustrated and all that, but they would have, seen this team. But then one of the questions I wanted to ask him about is there's the billboard on the side of 75 that says we wanted to win Luka's title, and that connection that fans have. And it didn't seem like he really understood how much Luka meant to this fan base. And he got asked about that, and he basically kind of came out and said it here.
Fort Worth Star Telegram, when you were kicking the idea of this trade around, and you had various scenarios planned in your head, did the anger and outrage from the fan base, has that exceeded what you were kind of planning for?
Yeah, good question. I did know that Luka was important to the fan base. I didn't quite know it to what level, but really the way we looked at it is, if you're putting a team on the floor that's Kyrie, Klay, PJ, Anthony Davis, and Lively, we feel that's a championship caliber team. And we would have been winning at a high level, and that would have quieted some of the outrage. And so, unfortunately, we weren't able to do that. So it just continued to, go on and on.
This, hold on real quick. This felt like when you're like apologizing to your significant other, and you're like, hey, I really am. I'm sorry. But if we did, it's like, if he just cut it at the, like, but I didn't understand to the extent it was cut. But then he has to like counter it with, but if you saw the vision, if you saw the team on the floor, it wouldn't. It's like, all right. But we at least got some, some honesty, right? Like, we at least got an admittance of,
yes,
I underestimated the passion for Luka Doncic in Dallas. And that is something that's been so evident since the trade, and they have missed the mark since day one of post Luka being on the Mavs. And this is the first time we got him admitting, yeah, I didn't fully know that.
Yes, and when you have the Tim Cato story where Patrick Dumont is now upset at Nico for the response, because he didn't expect this response, obviously. And so it just comes back to the way that they have handled this from day one, like you said, proves that they didn't know what kind of reaction that they would get and all that. And now we get an admittance from him. But he said he's done a good job, and so he'll keep his job, and we'll see what happens with them going forward. Coming up, the conspiracies have been going all over the place about did he get a mandate from ownership? He answers that question, and he also answers what he said to convince ownership to actually make this trade. Let's talk about that and more coming up. Today's episode of Locked On Mavs brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel Sportsbook has all kinds of props and odds, things that you can use to get in on the action. Go check out FanDuel. You can put down $5 if it's your first $5 bet, and you win. You get $250 in bonus bets. They have all kinds of great stuff for the NBA playoffs. The West Playoff Series, I've been talking about that. Luka's Lakers are plus 114. They're an underdog right now to win the series after the Timberwolves win game one. Timberwolves minus 134. So check out that one. There's also a bunch of other stuff connected to that too. You can do the series spread. You can do all kinds of individual props to the favorite to be the finals matchup right now. Plus 165. Celtics versus Thunder. Cavs versus Thunder is plus 360. Celtics versus Golden State Warriors plus 1100. That's the third one. That is wild to me. Go check out all kinds of great stuff at FanDuel. FanDuel.com. Please gamble responsibly.
Shut it down! Let's go home!
Thanks for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs, being part of the show, part of the Raccoon Squad, what we call our listeners. We appreciate each and every one of you for checking out the show and listening every day. We have a daily show all throughout the offseason. The Mavs won the coin flip today in the lottery, and now they have better odds. They're the 11th spot in the lottery to win. So we'll have that covered all through this summer, going up to the lottery and into the draft. We'll have a lot of time to talk about that. So come back to the show. We'll be talking about that. And tomorrow on the show, we'll talk about what we learned from this press conference, because I think we did learn a lot. I came away thinking we didn't learn a lot, and then Isaac started going through the list, and I was like, you know what? Actually, we did learn a lot. So come back tomorrow. We'll talk about that. All right, Isaac. He was asked about if he had a mandate from ownership, because there's been a lot of conspiracy, right? There's been a lot thrown around. We've talked about a lot of them and all that. I did a whole show right after the trade happened about all the conspiracies around it, and he kind of answers this one flat out.
There have been a million theories about why you did the deal. One of them was that you were told to do it, that Mr. Dumont said, I didn't want to give the Supermax contract, which is obviously very expensive, to Luka. Were you told that you had to trade him?
No, not at all. Patrick reminds me of the leadership that I had at Nike, and a really good leader doesn't tell the people that work for them what to do. It's a collective, well thought out process to make a big move like that. And then also, unfortunately, I'm super stubborn, so someone telling me to do something doesn't work too well for me.
That quote goes over really well after the team is successful, like in the finals. You go, haha, yeah, it's correct. But in this kind of moment, him saying, I'm very stubborn and I don't like to be told what to do, it's just does not come off.
I think it doesn't come off more because everybody's just read all the reporting, from McMahon and Cato dropping pieces, earlier Monday morning, to all the reporting before, and Mark Stein, everybody. So it's like for him to say, like, I am stubborn and stuff, and like, oh yeah, well, we know from all the reporting. So we kind of get that.
But at least now we can squash that there was a mandate from ownership.
Yeah, I never believed that. Everything, we've said it over and over again. Every person that we've talked to, or at least I've talked to, a few of them that I'm very, very confident would know, they've all said the same thing. Yeah. This was Nico's decision. Like, Nico convinced Dumont to do it. And more of like, Dumont is like, hey, this isn't my area of expertise. I'm going to just empower you, like, run this thing. I trust you to do it. And it was Nico's call along. So now I feel like, Dumont, which he alludes to later on, I guess we can talk about later, but their relationship now that maybe has changed a little bit and gotten different. But yeah, but that I thought your question was very interesting on, what'd you do to convince Dumont there to do this?
See if you can hear him answering this question. Patrick Dumont initially laughed at you when you brought him the Luka trade. What did you say to convince him to approve it?
It wasn't really it wasn't really a laugh. It was more of a chuckle. But
can we just for a second? What's the difference?
I don't know. There's a laugh, and
give me a chuckle. Give me a laugh. Okay, just want to.
All right, just want.
but really it was just, I'd said it out of the blue. And then as we started talking more, I gave him reasoning behind it. And, you know, we're a very process-oriented organization, and everything we do is without emotion and goes through the lens of process. And so once we had those substantive discussions, then he saw the vision.
This is where he lost me then. First of all, he did not really answer the question. He didn't really say what he said to Patrick Dumont to actually convince him. But then he sent it in a different direction, and now this is where I'm going to take it. We're now a process-oriented team. Has the process worked for teams in the past? I just want to throw that out. And then the emotion part of it. It's sports, and also there's emotion connected to Dirk in this franchise and this fan base. And there's the emotion surrounding Luka, and he already admitted that he didn't fully understand the emotion that fans were going to have towards Luka and the response that was going to happen, and taking emotion out of it has now hurt this franchise in a way that may be irreversible in a way. And so to go to that point and to take emotion out of it completely, especially when there's humans involved and all this, it reminds me of when people say, well, the government should be run like a business. And you go, okay, that sounds good to an extent, but like the post office is supposed to take a loss. You're not supposed to make money off of the post office. It's just fundamentally not how that's supposed to work. It's supposed to be a service for the people. Like, government is supposed to be a service for the people that are paying for it to run and operate. And sports is a service is a business from, organizations for fans. And there is emotion in it. And yes, you can take some of it out of it when you have to make tough choices and things like that. But this was a choice that was avoidable and shouldn't have happened.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's yeah, for sure. It didn't feel like there was much convincing that had to be done because Dumont kind of just like blindly, empowered him to do stuff, something like this. And I thought the question later on about, hey, someone asked what's your relationship now with Dumont?
Yeah,
and post trade, and his answer was so funny to me. Of like, he was like, yeah, I think it's made us stronger. He's like, we're talking, and then he went along with it saying like, we're talking a lot more, we're communicating a lot more.
I'm sure you
all
are.
This stuff, and it 100% felt like the couple that somebody cheated on the other, and it's like, dude, we're stronger now. Our marriage is even stronger. We have weekly meetings. Yeah, there's a therapist in the room with us, but we have these weekly. Yeah, I mean, we have joint Facebook accounts, and she checks my phone every night, and we have, we share a password doc, with each other, but we're stronger than ever. We're talking way more. And it's like,
stop. You do not have your passwords on a document.
No. I was just
okay.
I was just trying to think of someone where somebody would be sharing their passwords and everything.
Keeping their passwords on a document in 2025.
But it's just, it was just like, I don't know if that proves that y'all are stronger in it. He did say we're in this together, which I thought I know, which it feels like that could be a line back to Dumont that he's used before, of like when Dumont's like telling him like, dude, I didn't know you didn't tell me it was gonna be this bad. And he's like, well, you're kind of linked to this either way now, so you've committed to it. You're linked to me, so we might as well see this vision out. And this is the boat that we're in.
It's like in Game of Thrones when somebody ties themselves to one of the people vying for the throne, and then all of a sudden it goes a completely wrong direction, and then you're like, oh my God, I just hitched my wagon to the wrong person.
Oh crap, I'm not gonna have the throne.
Or when everybody hitched their wagon to Daenerys at the end, and then all of a sudden
oh yeah,
she goes off, and you're like, oh wait, I just hitched my wagon to the Mad Queen. Terrible ending to a show, by the way.
Let's not start this.
Terrible ending.
What other quotes?
Nobody liked the end of Game of Thrones, right? Nobody. Nobody likes the Luka trade. Nobody likes the end of Game of Thrones.
Okay, so I also want to say this real quick, and
Isaac helped write it.
This will be good, because it'll only be like a minute and a half here. Once I asked the question earlier about why you shouldn't be fired, the amount of texts I got from people either still work for the Mavs or ex-employees, not just like marketing ex-employees, just got a recent one right now. We're talking about basketball side of operations, getting a few texts of, hey, dude, was that you that just asked that question? That this is hilarious, type of thing. It just goes like, there's just this collective, I don't know how to describe, of just like somebody just texted me a little bit ago and was like, the underestimating what your star means to the city is like a fireball offense on itself. Like that, when you can't understand this is from somebody else, I'm not, but it's like when you can't understand the connection between your best player and the city in which you are playing in, and you can't fully grasp that, and you send them off, like that's part of being a GM. And that's when you say you've done a really good job. I mean, that's the biggest nail in the coffin against you, is when you underestimate that. So, and I just want to say, like, Monday's typically a hard day for me to go to anything, but I also didn't want to be that guy who's sitting there gonna sit here and complain about Nico, and also complain about a media session, the secret roundtable media session that I wasn't invited to. And then the one time that we do get a mic to ask a question, I'm not gonna shy away from that. I'm gonna put my money where my mouth is, and I'm gonna go in there. This is what we've been wanting for months, since February 2nd, was to be able to have a chance to talk to him and ask a question. It's like, yeah, I can't complain about that and all this stuff and then not show up and ask, a question or a tough question. So that's just, yeah.
Coming up, why does Nico have no concerns about future free agents coming to the Mavericks after everything has happened? We'll talk about that and more coming up. All right, Isaac, more questions. I actually want to talk about how he looked at the beginning of the presser, because he was extremely nervous coming in.
The quarter zip looked great.
Great quarter zip, white, awesome. He's holding a pen behind the microphone. You can't really see it in some of these clips, but he at the very beginning, he's holding the pen, and he's holding it with his two hands, like on either side of the pen.
God, body language doctor coming out.
That's right. I'm going full Bill Simmons body language doctor right here. He's holding it behind the mic, just like close to the vest. It was such a body language. It was such a body language moment where it was he was trying to find some sort of security in it, and I didn't read that far. His voice was like shaking during his prepared statements. Like he was not looking forward to that. He was not looking forward to that at all. I don't think.
I mean, listen. I mean, he took the question from Joe Trahan that it was on my list of questions. If we just had a free for all, was basically like, what was the purpose of the secret roundtable the other day with no cameras and everything? And this is another step for him to like admit something. He's like, we obviously missed the mark on that. Like it was a collective decision, which a lot of people's reported now that was a Dumont decision, not Nico's, to have that. I thought there was once again a lack of awareness whenever he said, we hope to answer all the questions at that one so we could talk about like the future and the players and stuff at this one. I'm like,
because he mentioned that this is a normal occurrence, having an end of the season press conference with the GM, which is true, which does happen every year. But he knew he wasn't going to get any of the questions that he wanted. He should have just had two then. All right, we're going to have two press conferences. I'm going to have one where we talk about the Luka trade, and then one where we just talk about anything else and moving forward. But it just wasn't going to happen because he also hasn't. That's the first time that you and I have been able to go to a press conference. Yeah. And everybody else in Dallas media was able to go to a press conference that he was there. And also that he was not with Jason Kidd during the Cleveland press conference right after the trade. And he was with Rick Welts at the secret roundtable.
But you almost can't count the Cleveland one, though. No one travels anymore. Like there's only like less than 8 people who travel, because there's hardly any other. Huh?
8 is high.
Yeah. I mean,
I think there was less than 8 people at the play-in games I went to.
Yeah. I mean, so you're looking at Mike Curtis or Brad from the morning news. You're looking at Tim McMahon sometimes whenever, he's stationed in Dallas, and it's like Tim Cato sometimes goes from
Grant
DLS.
Assett goes to a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Grant goes, and it's just like
Dwayne and Eddie.
Dwayne
Mavs.com, their own people.
It's just like, you can't count that Cleveland thing as like, well, we address the media there. It's like, no, you're on the road in Cleveland with like less than 8 local people. You got to get in front of people here, and this is the first time he's done that. So there's a little, and even like, hey, the question of like, why did it take you so long to like talk to us? And his thing was like, well, we wanted you to see the vision before we talked to you guys. It's like, well, and then we never got to see the vision.
What? I knew the vision the night the trade happened. We talked about it on a reaction show. I was like, all right, I get this, but this is not what it's going to be.
But it's like, I put in quotation marks in my notes. He said, there was never a good time. Buddy, when you trade the franchise superstar, there's never going to be a good time. Oof. Right now isn't a good time either. Like, there's never a good time.
Yeah.
Like, you're never looking at a great time. You just got to do it. Like, you just have to do it. So waiting for a good time, he was obviously waiting for them to win games. That was one of the biggest takeaways of all of this is when we win, it will cure all. And I mean, yeah.
He kind of said that. Mike Curtis asked him a question about that, and that's when he kind of gave the answer about winning cures all.
This Dallas Morning News, piggybacking off that a little bit. You mentioned last week that Dirk is no longer around the franchise. Obviously, Luka isn't a part of the franchise anymore, and they're two figures that mean a lot to this organization and the fan base. Obviously, it's severed right now, just with everything that's happened. Like, I guess, how do you repair the relationship with the fan base going forward?
Well, one, you mentioned Dirk, and so it's important to say, like, he's the single most important figure to the franchise, so that's extremely important. I believe winning will help repair the relationship with the fans, and that's what we plan to do next year.
Yeah. I know you said winning will repair it, but have you ever thought about what if it doesn't?
I'm an optimistic person, and I move by faith, not by fear.
This is going to sound completely sarcastic from me. It is definitely not. You're legitimately a pastor at a church, a Christian church. He brings up faith in that scenario.
Like Christian faith, yes. But
yeah, right. No, right. Like, okay, what you want me to say? What denomination?
No, sorry. Yeah.
He brings up faith in that scenario.
Mm-hmm.
How do you respond to that as a pastor?
No, well, I mean, I'm not going to say anything people are going to love with that. I never want to speak on someone's relationship with the Lord. Like I've never been in that camp, never will be in that camp. I always hate it when people try to be like, I'm going to tell you where you're going for eternity and all this stuff. I'm like, dude, I don't want to be in that business. I want to be in the business of telling you about the hope that Jesus offers, but I'm not going to say it. Like, so if he wants to use faith, post-game quotes from players or whatever, all stuff. And it's like, you do you. Like, I'm just never going to criticize somebody, talking about their faith in that moment. So
I'm not even saying criticize, just like explain what that even means. Like, how is he using faith in this scenario to like guide his future, or like he's trying to say positive and say, well, I'm a person of faith, and so I'm going to only think positive about stuff like this.
Well, a lot of times faith is the only thing we have whenever we're in the deepest, darkest valleys. So right now I'd be clinging on to my faith too. And, I think he took a question from Dorothy about like, how are you doing personally right now? Which I thought was an incredible question. And, he's answered, I think a few weeks ago too, of saying, God's got me. Like, I'm staying true to my faith, my family and stuff. And I can't imagine. I mean, I get like hurt about some tough comments sometimes that like pierces my soul, and I hold on to them longer than what I should. For him, it's just like, dude, you have a lot of the city who hates your guts. So hopefully he does get to turn to his faith in some of that.
Free agents, he has no concerns about the Mavs getting free agents because of this.
Dylan Reed, ticket in Dallas. Are you worried that the Luka trade is going to hurt you guys in free agent negotiation moving forward? It feels as though, and at least he's highlighted as much, that he feels as though maybe it really was done behind his back. Are you worried that moving forward, other players that come here might think, well, if I go there, what if they trade me without knowing? Is that a concern you guys have?
Not at all. When I first got this job here, I was told that the Dallas Mavericks, struggled to get free agents. And one of the things I said is we're going to get free agents. And it's not just about me, but you have Hall of Famer Jason Kidd. You have a bunch of amazing players that, Kyrie Irving, like people want to play with him. So I think we have a lot that's in our favor. So I don't worry about getting free agents. That's the least of my concerns.
This was a question I was going to ask him as well. And at first you're like, I don't buy that. You have no concerns about it. But then with some of the other stuff he said today, I don't think the Mavs are going to go after those type of free agents. The ones at the level that would be concerned about something like this, I don't think the Mavs are going after. If they're whining and dining max free agents and trying to get, you know, a Kevin Durant to leave in free agency or something like that, then maybe those type of players. But the players that the Mavs are going to be trying to go get, the tax mid-level exception at $5.6 million next year, those players are just going to take the money that they can get and take the role that they're going to get and run with it after that. So I actually do kind of believe him on this.
No, I do too. Well, one, they don't have a ton of money to spend, so it's not like they're walking in the offseason with a max slot and it's like, dude, we're gonna have people lining up for this. But to his point, I said this a few months ago of, if Kyrie Irving opts to leave Dallas and doesn't have great things to say, that will hurt standing around the league more than him trading Luka. And I get that that's, you know, semi-hottish take for some people because of how the Luka trade went down. But Kyrie is so, you know, well respected around the league, and like, just there's a lot of relationships. And I think this has been one of the things about the Nico experience too, is since day one, Nico was brought in not for his expertise in running front offices or anything, you know, all the stuff. He was brought in with one thing touted for him: relationships. It's like, relationships is, he's going to change the game. Like he said, we're going to get free agents. I know the history here. We're going to get free agents. And he's made some of the trades. He has a Kyrie Irving. He has Anthony Davis, these guys that, you know, have great relationships with him and stuff. Now we're going to see just how much those relationships are going to like change things. Because if there's ever a time for people to reevaluate their relationship with Nico Harrison, both on and off the court, it's probably now, right? So if that relationship, if a Nico Harrison relationship brings in some other big names over the next few years, then you're looking at him like, all right, that didn't really like hamper things. And I honestly don't. I think if you have Kyrie and Anthony Davis, two players that have a lot of history with a lot of different players and people respect a lot, and they're saying great things about the city and about how they're treated and all the stuff, I think that speaks around the league more than anything that Nico can do right now or say.
If Kyrie decides to bolt, then
that's tough.
Then it matters, right?
That
then
matters
you're
a
like,
lot, yeah.
okay, all right. Well, then it mattered more than we think. But right now, at least with the situation they have this summer, I don't think it'll matter as much. But down the line,
how he talked and how he talked, how he talked about Kyrie today is like, he's like, it's not even building a free agent summer. Like he is the time. Even in that question, he didn't even reference AD. He said people want to play with Kyrie Irving.
Yeah.
Like, Nico is all in on Kyrie Irving. I've said this for months since the beginning of the season. Fully expect a 3-year deal for Kyrie Irving. Like, I've just been stuck on this 3-year thing. I think he's getting a 3-year deal. It's going to be a lot of money. He's got, there's nothing that's changed my mind that Kyrie Irving won't be back. And that's how Nico and them are operating.
There's so much more stuff we could have got into. We're going to do a bonus episode about Casey Smith and about the Tim McMahon report that dropped and all that. The last thing though, we'll do all that. And we'll talk about all that. We'll get into all that a little bit later. Come back. We'll have more Locked On Mavs. LockedOnDaily.com is our newsletter every single day. Guys, thanks so much for listening to Locked On Mavs.
Peace out.
Boom.
See you guys at the